Hi guys, welcome to the Random Book channel. This is Anna, and today I'm very excited to talk about an Aztec deity that I came across from her when I was in Mexico a few months ago when I visited the Museum of Anthropology and History in Mexico City. Now, this sculpture or statue, it's very impressive looking. First of all, it's 10 feet tall, and the imagery in it, it's very interesting, and it captures your attention for sure. You guys will know what I'm talking about when I show pictures of what she looks like. So I wanted to talk about her because I've been doing a lot of research, and I find very interesting the information that I came across. So I wanted to share that with you guys. So the deity that I'm talking about her name is Coatlicue. She was a very important Aztec. She was very important to Aztec life because she represented life, death, and rebirth. This statue was made out of stone, which was important because it physically represented her as what she was, the goddess of the earth and fire, which that's what you need to make a stone. The fact that she's the goddess of fire is important because fire is what separates man from animals because they can create it. Coatlicue was a primordial deity with prolific procreative powers, and myths declared that she had given birth not only to the moon and the stars, but also to the god of war, Huitzilopochtli. As the mother to this most important deity of the warlike Aztec nation, the goddess was undoubtedly one of the most sacred religious figures of this civilization. Coatlicue, the Aztec mother goddess, was believed to have dualistic nature. Just like Earth, she could be loving and nurturing by providing the conditions that humankind needs to survive. She could also be the unforgiving and devour human life through natural disasters. As such, she was a mother figure and could inspire both love and fear. According to the Aztec legend, Coatlicue's daughter, Coyolxauhqui, rallied 400 of her brothers to attack and decapitate their mother because she was pregnant. Coatlicue's husband was Mixcoatl, the cloud serpent god and god of the chase, and they were mother of the father of Coyolxauhqui and the 400 brothers. It is said that a ball of feather fell onto Coatlicue while she was sweeping a temple and magically impregnating her, angering her daughter greatly. Coyolxauhqui, or face painted with bells, was deeply upset by her mother's pregnancy and commanded her brothers to help destroy their mother. The moment Coatlicue was killed, the powerful god of war, Huitzilopochtli, emerged from her womb, fully grown and ready to battle. He killed many of his own siblings, including Coyolxauhqui, whose head he threw up in the sky to become the moon. As a result of this battle, many of the 400 brothers became the stars, representing the southern star gods. Several different accounts battle was some sort of several different accounts claim that Huitzilopochtli's weapon in the great battle was some sort of serpent. In one retelling story, it's a ray of sun, referring to the fire serpent, and in another story, a weapon is literally a snake that attacks Coyolxauhqui. In several versions, this particular legend, it is Huitzilopochtli who was conceived in this magical impregnation incident and was born into the time to save his own mother. The myth is symbolic in demonstrating the victory of the sun over the moon and the stars, as Huitzilopochtli represents the sun, and Coyolxauhqui and her brothers represent the moon and the stars. This story of Coatlicue is the most commonly retold in the modern literature. Yet there are many other myths involving. According to the Aztec mythology, Coatlicue was a priestess whose job was to maintain the shrine on top of the legendary sacred mountain Coatepec, or Snake Mountain. Coatlicue also gave birth to Quetzalcoatl, the famous feathered serpent god, and Solot, the god of lightning who assists the dead to the transition to the underworld. In another myth, Coatlicue warned the Mexica, or the Aztecs, of their future demise. The great Aztec ruler, Moctezuma, sent a party of 60 magicians to visit Coatlicue in Aztlan in order to obtain knowledge. The magicians struggled to get to Coatlicue. That was difficult to climb. Their paths were obstructed by a sandy hill that was difficult to climb because they were heavily burdened with gifts for the goddess. Eventually, the earth goddess revealed the Aztec cities will fall one by one. And once Huitzilopochtli lost those cities, he would return home to his mother. At this point of the myth, Coatlicue misses her son greatly and is happy that Huitzilopochtli was going to be returning home. Coatlicue is fascinating, powerful Aztec deity, revered as a mother serpent goddess, and it continues to serve as a symbol of mother and monster, life and rebirth, fertility and childbirth, and strength and war. The name Coatlicue means of the serpent skirts, as she's often portrayed, wearing a skirt of serpents. To the Aztec, serpents represented both childbirth and blood. So visually, this was important for the sculpture because her skirt represented the childbirth aspects of this myth, Huitzilopochtli, and the decapitation of her head, which is the use of the two serpents. As the goddess of childbirth, this comes into play as well as looking at Aztec women. While men train for battle against men, women prepare for battle in childbearing. The Aztecs believed that when a woman died in childbirth, they became goddesses, which correlates to the myth of the Coatlicue and her son Huitzilopochtli. The goddess is generally represented as having double serpent head with drooping fangs and forked tongues. But it is her wriggling, snaky skirt that explains her name, which translates literally, she of the serpent skirt. Her association with the serpent is due to the rattlesnake being an important symbol of fertility and fecundity to the peoples of central Mexico. In this case, she represents both the creator and the destroyer, symbolic of the earth that has the power to create and destroy humans, where both the grave and the womb exist simultaneously. Similarly, this goddess is associated with themes of death and rebirth. The snakes are representative of blood spouting out of her body, and in an Aztec tradition symbolizes divine fertility, literally the power of life and death. So after the Spanish conquest, the monumental Coatlicue sculpture was buried because it was considered an inappropriate pagan idol by the Spanish Christians invaders. So after languishing in obscurity for more than 200 years, it was rediscovered in 1790. So yeah, she was buried again, uncovered, and yes, she was buried two times, and they rediscovered her her 3 times. Anyways, this statue was found religious important, not only by the Aztec, but also to the Spanish. This is an interesting fact here. Catholic missionaries saw her as related to Mary, who birthed Jesus by God. While Coatlicue was not a virgin, Huitzilopochtli's birth was from magic, and when she became pregnant, her children thought her dishonor, similar to Mary as well. So Antonio León y Gama, a curious historian, astronomer, an intellectual living in Mexico City at the time, drew illustrations of the sculpture and offered his interpretation of who its display. He claimed it was the Yowami. Not only after it was found, however, Coatlicue was reburied. She was considered too frightened of a pagan idol. Eventually, she was uncovered again, and in the 20th century, becoming one of the crowning objects of the National Anthropology Museum and the famous representative of the Aztec artistic achievement in stone sculpture. So the most representative element is her skirt of interwoven serpents, which represents fertility. She also wears a serpent belt, which corresponds to the serpent that springs from her neck and wrist, and the 2 fangs serpent spring from her neck, representing her head. They depict the illusion of blood bursting out of the neck during the human sacrifice by decapitation. Iconographically, 2 serpents confronting each other also indicates dualism. For Coatlicue is a symbol of the fusion, the creator and the destroyer, life and death, mobility and immobility, heaven and the underworld, beauty and horror. She wears a necklace that consists of a human skull, hands and skulls, and heart from earth consumes all life. Behind the necklace, her breasts are flabby because she feeds many. The element of eagle shows on her clawed hands and feet. She also has an eagle feather on her leg bands and back apron. On her wrist, she wears paper streamers. She also has a serpent-headed loincloth end, which indicates the male aspects of earth. So, with that said, yeah, as you guys could see, she's very impressive looking, and I mean, not surprised that when the Spanish first saw it, they thought it was a scary, intimidating pagan idol that needs to be hidden away deep and buried. So I thought that was very interesting. And I'm going to be making actually 2 more videos. So this is part 1 of this mini series about Coatlicue, because there's much more I want to share with you guys that it will be way too long to fit it in 1 video. So look out for part 2 and 3, where I'm going to be talking a little bit of more interesting information that I find about Coatlicue, and not only Coatlicue, but also as for Aztec sculpture building. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something new about this Aztec deity. I think she's amazing, and I find that it's very interesting that she has that dualistic meaning, and herself, she's a creator and a mother of the gods. Gods such as Quetzalcoatl, you know? So, okay guys, I guess I'll talk to you guys later, and yeah, in Lakesh, bye.